Nikita Mazepin, Lance Stroll, and Michael Masi are the three names we think of when we're asked the question, who is the most hated person in Formula 1? Each of them, obviously, with their own unique reasons.
No, Mikey, no, Mike, that was so not right.
But what if I told you that there's someone who can top off all of them as the most despised person in the sport? And that man, ladies and gentlemen, is Mohammed Ben Sulayem. MBS, Mr. Bullshit, mild bowel syndrome, my butt crack. That does not even work as an abbreviation, but I just wanted to say it anyway. Regardless, Mr. Ben Sulayem is known for being the president of the FIA, pretty much an organization that enforces and creates rules for motorsports, including Formula 1. Now, as you can tell, being in charge of an organization that's that important is a huge responsibility. And now I want you to imagine that responsibility being given to an attention-seeking baby. Which is why MBS is one of the most hated people in Formula 1. Because ever since he's become part of the sport, he's done nothing but get into controversies, bans everything in F1 he thinks he doesn't like,
It's now illegal.
fires the people who speak against him, and even made a rule allowing F1 drivers to get banned from races if they dare to criticize him or even say a swear word. Like, you know your reputation is fucked when you have to say that you're considering bringing back V10s to Formula 1 in order to redeem yourself.
The FIA has been instrumental in their efforts over the last 75 years.
Now, of course, I know majority of F1 fans don't even know who this bum is.
Who?
So how did MBS earn his disgraceful reputation? Well, the thing is, I'm not just talking about F1 fans. I'm talking drivers, team principals, co-workers, and sponsors themselves who don't even like this guy. A lot of us can agree that MBS started becoming a problem the moment he got hired in 2021, but after just a bit of research, you'll find out that he was already a problem decades before that. Because back in 2009, MBS drove an F1 car during a promotional event hosted by Renault, where he actually wasn't supposed to drive the F1 car, but after pressuring Renault to go with it, since he was apparently a 14-time Middle East rally champion, he got the opportunity. And he destroyed the car the moment he stepped foot on the throttle. Ben Sulayem had an empty road all to himself and decided to spin, therefore pissing off everyone at Renault. Like, even Nikita Mazepin wouldn't stoop that low. He spins within 20 seconds, whereas MBS spun in 5. But as years went by, MBS climbed up the ranks in the FIA from being a representative to the president in 2021. And despite previous fumbles, people were actually optimistic about him, thinking of how well he would lead the sport, saying things such as, seems like a good pick, a long-time racer, has a love for the sport, interesting goal for his presidency. Boy, were we all fucking wrong. Because here's a list of things MBS has done in his first few years as FIA president. April 2022, enforced the jewelry ban on F1 drivers to ensure safety. December 2022, banning F1 drivers from making any political statements. 2023, reducing FIA running costs from 30 million to 8 million. And October 2023, quadrupling driver fines to ensure drivers follow rules. Now, this all does seem pretty good, until you realize that everything MBS touches turns into a shit show. The ban on jewelry? MBS made that a bigger issue than actual track safety problems, and it mainly just targeted Lewis Hamilton.
It's almost like a step backwards if you think of the steps we're taking as a sport.
Also, reducing FIA running costs? It's only a concept so far, and the only cutting cost MBS has done was firing employees that disagreed with him, and quadrupling driver fines? The fines were planned to go up to $1 million. That is almost the entire salary of a rookie driver. Max Verstappen, despite him making $65 million a year, if he received those fines throughout his career, he would have to work at a gas station. And when George Russell asked MBS and the FIA on where the money was going from the fines, he got no response. I guess Max was right about where all the FIA money was going.
It's quite a big fine, so I hope they have a nice dinner and a lot of wine. Good expensive wine, that would be nice. And they can invite me for dinner as well. I'll pay for that dinner too.
Oh, and I also can't help but say that MBS Loki kind of just looks like the Goblin from Clash of Clans. I mean, it's pretty accurate regardless of looks. Just imagine the coins as FIA fine money, and there you have it. But other than the brain-dead controversial changes, the worst part of Ben Sulayem's leadership is that he doesn't even follow his own rules. As I mentioned earlier, F1 drivers being banned from making any any political and social statements. 2 years after that rule was made, in 2024, F1 had Donald Trump attend the Miami Grand Prix, and the Green Goblin over here was glued to Trump the entire time, taking photos, yapping 24/7, posting on social media. The hypocrisy was so obvious that F1 fans even commented on MBS's posts saying, "So you can have a political opinion but not the drivers?" Now I don't care what this guy's political opinion is, but how is MBS able to do that? While Lando isn't allowed to talk about mental health, Sebastian Vettel couldn't wear a t-shirt telling people not to litter, and Lewis can't talk about human rights. While F1 literally races in Abu Dhabi, a race that MBS helped introduce to F1, hence the Renault crash, which is in a country that's had numerous human rights violations.
See, now that's some bullshit.
And Ben Sulayem also loves to advocate for diversity, telling people to keep F1 a safe space.
And we do not differentiate from which continent. We go and make sure we reach to them. And diversity is very important to us. It's not a noise that we make in the news.
Which is great, until you realize this is the same guy who once said he does not like women who think they are smarter than men, and was accused of sexism and bullying by a female employee. Does that sound familiar by any chance? Also, the FIA did not investigate the situation for unknown reasons, and in the rare case they do investigate, they deem the president innocent of any wrongdoing. Like, geez guys, we investigated ourselves and found ourselves innocent. And the reason why MBS is like this is because the man is the biggest attention whore. The guy tries so hard to be the face of Formula 1, and I just know that Lewis and Max being way more popular than he is pisses him off, which is why he's always beefing with those two.
This whole thing, all of this, it's all about me.
It's also just embarrassing how he goes as far as to glue himself to Trump, who was probably more interested in Lando and Zach Brown, tried grabbing Oscar Piastri after a race but Oscar thankfully rejected him, attempted to argue on why things weren't the FIA's fault during an award ceremony.
One thing you said about Japan, you said was controversial. No. The FIA was blamed for and for more wins also.
Someone kill me right now. And he also somehow manages to talk about himself no matter what. Here's a clip of MBS talking about how he's helping young racers get into F1, but then suddenly transitions to talk about himself.
And they saw 100 young girls trying to drive a kart car. The impression of you to drive a car, I mean, I used to be a champion for 14 times.
You know what? That's actually impressive, Mr. Sulayem. I can only imagine how well a 14-time champion would drive an F1 car. Oh, and he also constantly dick rides celebrities. Like in 2023, he wanted to talk to every single one of them for attention, and it's kind of worked. Fortunately, though, the only attention he's been getting are negative ones from God knows how many F1 fans.
I'm gonna purposefully crash into you. I'm gonna put you on your fucking head in the wall.
But that negative attention was barely anything, because in 2024, MBS enforced a controversial rule that pissed off everyone in Formula 1. The ban on swearing. The most bullshit ass rule I have ever seen in the sport. Now, this all started in September 2024, where Max Verstappen was fined community service hours for saying the word fuck during a press conference in the Singapore Grand Prix.
So as soon as I went into qualifying, I knew the car was...
Now, Max obviously protested it after the race weekend, going as far as taking the interview outside so he doesn't get fined again, which was badass as fuck.
I would prefer if you ask these questions outside the room.
Max, will you talk to us outside the room? Because technically there's not... Yeah, okay.
And Charles Leclerc supported Max as well, since he was also fined $10,000 for swearing during a press conference a month later.
I had one oversteer, and then when I recovered from that oversteer, I had an oversteer from the other side, and then I was like, fuck. But luckily... sorry, oh no. Oh no, I don't want to join Max.
Now, this obviously led to the GDPA, which is a union of all F1 drivers, to protest the swearing ban. And they also called out MBS for being the prick that he is in the process. And plus, so did everyone in the F1 community. Like, you know you're fucked in the ass when you have Team LH, the Orange Army, Papaya Army, Tifosi, and literally everyone else gathering together like the fucking Avengers to jump your stupid ass on social media. But what I hate most about all this is that despite all the criticism, MBS decides to do worse. Because as soon as 2025 started, he said that the FIA is considering a potential ban of F1 team radio due to swearing, which means we could potentially lose this.
Fucking blind motherfucker!
This.
There's something loose between my legs, apart from the obvious.
And this. Who in their right fucking mind thinks that that would be a great idea? Even if the FIA doesn't ban team radio or decides to delay the broadcast, it's still a horrible idea to bring up. Because if we're not gonna allow swearing or even censored swearing in regular F1, then why do we have F1 kids? For breakdancing drivers? Actually, that does go incredibly hard, but still, you know, why ban swearing? Now, with all the backlash from fans and drivers, it only makes sense for MBS to listen to the feedback and do better. That is what everyone expected. But instead of doing that, MBS just shuts down any form of criticism thrown at him. Like when photos of him and Toto Wolff arguing emerged, MBS actually just looks like a child trapped in a 60-year-old's body. Like this is how the president of the FIA deals with an argument. Also, back in 2024, F1 had a lot of questionable penalties, which led some drivers to criticize the rules and the people making the rules in the sport. But instead of listening to the criticism and finding ways to improve, MBS posted an Instagram story threatening F1 drivers with a severe punishment if they strongly criticize stewards, because it apparently causes the FIA to get online hate.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
This man was so butthurt over criticism on social media that instead of fixing the problems, he silences his critics, which has resulted in more online hate, and the FIA is also getting a lot of hate in real life. Once again, roll the clip of the FIA getting booed at F1's 75th anniversary.
The FIA has been instrumental in their efforts over the last 75 years.
And just in case my point isn't strong enough, Ben Sulayem also fired a lot of highly qualified FIA stewards because they disagreed with him. Like Tim Mayer, a steward in F1 for over 15 years, who revealed that he was fired because MBS took offense over a document that he presented to him. I have a slight gut feeling that it might be a picture showing MBS as the Goblin, but who knows?
What the fuck is this?
But the stupidest part of this drama is that Tim claims that he didn't even write the part of the document that MBS was offended by. So he probably just got fired for showing MBS another person's insult. And to kick off 2025 to silence even more critics, the FIA, aka MBS on another power trip, announced a new rule threatening huge fines and punishments as far as race bans or even championship points deductions towards F1 drivers if they dare to speak ill of the FIA. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but luckily I am not an F1 driver, so I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want.
I would have to say that you have absolutely no fucking leverage, and I really can do whatever the fuck I want.
And honestly, I just think this is a really sad joke. F1 used to be a sport that was all about drivers, you know, occasionally beating the shit out of each other, doing silly things, saying whatever they felt like. Everyone barely needed to be PR trained.
I think it was easier to work as a teammate for Charles or Lando.
I'm gonna be very honest on this one. They're both shit.
And now, drivers have to avoid swearing right after they get turned into a fidget spinner. Like, does the FIA expect drivers to just say this after a life-threatening crash?
Oh my goodness gracious, I have just crashed into this wall. I must say, I hope my delicate bones have not crumbled into smithereens.
At this point, MBS is honestly just strengthening the stereotype of leaders in the Middle East, silencing critics, heck, even punishing them. I wonder who he looks up to. Bin Laden? Or Saddam Hussein? Though thankfully there are a couple of things that MBS has done right, like promoting growth for younger drivers and vouching for an 11th and 12th team to enter the sport. But at the end of the day, this is all just for F1 to make more money in the future. And the swearing ban just doesn't make any sense regardless of whether or not F1 wants to make more money. Like even Gordon Ramsay called out the absurd rule.
So sometimes if it comes out, let them be real. Let it go. They're traveling over 200 miles an hour, so if the shit...
Please!
So we can't really blame F1's greedy and corrupt direction all on MBS, though he certainly does play a part, like allegedly donating 1.5 million euros to F1 member clubs who are people who vote for the next FIA president. I surely hope that's not rigged. So as much good as he can possibly do, MBS's pathetic behavior is just an embarrassment to the sport. And his face just pisses me off, so screw him. Sebastian Vettel as FIA president, ladies and gentlemen, or Fernando Alonso as FIA boss.
Maximum penalty. Yeah.